Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Louth Leader Partnership launch of Innovating Communities and a Leader Cooperation Project in County Louth. My name is Dervla Clark, and I'm the Project Animator and the PR Officer in the Rural Development Programme within Louth Leader Partnership, and I'll be acting as your MC today. During the launch, we will delve deeper into the Innovating Communities programme and the exciting benefits that it can and will bring to local towns and villages throughout Louth. During the webinar today, we'll be inviting people to post questions in the chat function, and I'll be conducting a question and answer session towards the end of the presentation, and we'll try and get through as many of those questions as we can. I just want to remind everybody that today this event is being recorded. And now, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Frank O'Brien, Chair of Louth Leader Partnership, who will launch the project. Over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Dervla. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frank O'Brien, and I'm the chairperson of Louth Leader Partnership. And I'm very delighted to welcome you all today to the launch of our Leader Cooperation Training Project called Innovating Communities, Designing Our Future. I welcome the LCDC members, LAG Chair, our local authority colleagues, public representatives, board members, our CEO and leader staff, and all participants from local community groups, individual organisations and businesses in Louth who have already expressed their interest in taking part in this very exciting project. You're all very welcome. During the webinar today, we'll be inviting people to post questions on the chat function, and we will try to respond to as many as possible of these towards the end of the presentation. And like Dervla, I want to remind people that today's event is being recorded. Innovating Communities is the first kind of its kind in Louth, and this puts innovation in the heart of rural development. The project is led by Monaghan Integrated Development Company and 5 other development companies, including Louth, Cavan, Leitrim, Donegal and Sligo, all playing an integral part. A total of 102 training courses with 900 participants will be delivered across the 6 regions over the 2.5-year project period. Of those, 150 participants will be recruited in Louth alone, with approximately 12 training groups. 12 leader training labs, 2 per area, will be developed as part of this project, and when safe, these will serve, when set up, these will serve as focal point and delivery spaces and stand as legacy of the project. The Louth Learning Labs will be located in RD in Donegal. Innovating Communities is a training project to strengthen local development and community-led action. The programme will provide access to training and design thinking and encourage people to take part in a community of fellow learners, with group focusing on local challenges and indeed developing sustainable solutions to improve community life. Design thinking itself is a process that puts people at the heart of solving challenges. It can be applied to any challenge, from helping young people to apply for better job opportunities to developing, for example, a tourism strategy for a group of towns or villages, or even an approach to tackling major issues like climate change. This design thinking training will also build the group's capabilities for future challenges that may present themselves. By using these new techniques, they can create better solution outcomes for their people and the communities in Louth. Ice Cream Architect are leading the training team for Innovating Communities. Ice Cream have over 10 years experience in developing citizen-led community development projects and the creation of design-led training. The team have led a range of strategic projects that enable, encourage and enhance particularly public participation in local challenges. Ice Cream will be supported by 38 local co-trainers. 6 of those will be supporting Louth, who are volunteering their time to support active participants. We're very excited about this, and I wish all the participants the very best of luck on the programme. Thank you, and I'll hand over to our MC, Dervla.
Sorry about that, folks. Thank you very much, Frank, for your opening remarks. And Now what I'd like to do is hand over to Kieran Reid, our Chief Executive Officer of Louth Leader Partnership, who's going to go over an introduction to the project. Thank you very much, Kieran.
Thank you, Dervla. And again, I'd like to echo our chairperson's remarks in relation to welcoming everybody to this meeting. It's really great to see so many people that are interested in finding out more about this initiative. And what I wanted to do is just give a small background introduction to where this has come from and signpost, I suppose, the next steps in relation to how people can get involved. Traditionally, the LEADER programme has been operating in local communities and in the county, responding, I suppose, to various calls in relation to whether they're economic challenges, job sustainability issues as they relate to communities in terms of town and village plans. Again, very much trying to support and identify from a bottom-up approach the issues that LEADER can present. And LEADER, of course, is funded by the European Union and also the Irish government as part of its rural development strategy in relation to ensuring that rural communities across the county are supported to effectively engage and participate in society. This cooperation project is a collaboration between 5 other LAG areas, which is local action groups, and their local development companies in each of those areas. And this cooperation project, we have been able to draw down across the 4 regions, or the 6 regions, just over €1 million to provide this design thinking training in each of the counties. And the objective here is to support individual communities and groups through design thinking training processes to identify solutions at local level. These solutions also need to be aligned and need to recognise effectively some of the major issues that are affecting in terms of public policy, including the European Union Green Deal, biodiversity, climate change, and how do we secure low carbon economy. So meeting those challenges at a local level, effectively we're trying to ensure that there are skills and enhancing the capacity at local level for people to engage in these challenges. So looking at it from the perspective of the individual community, how do they address these issues, align their own needs to some of these issues, and also then come up with realistic and realizable solutions that can be aligned to either future LEADER programme or other programme funding that will come through national policies at government level. So we're very happy to have Ice Cream, which is a great name for a company, just to acknowledge, and Des is with us from Ice Cream, who are the contractor who will coordinate and deliver the training. And we just wanted to obviously thank them for their work to date, for setting up this meeting today, and to ensure that this meeting runs smoothly. So effectively what I wanted to do really was to encourage your participation, to ask you to continue to engage with us. We will be signposting and using social media and other media to promote this initiative, and we really want to encourage everyone that has an interest in this to engage. While we have limited places, we would see that this initiative should be able to engage all those that want to be engaged in the context of either the training itself or supplementary activity in relation to the articulation of the next LEADER programme and its objectives, so that the needs of Louth, its communities and its businesses are served well in relation to the new funding streams that are coming on stream. So thank you very much, and I hand back over to Dervla. Thank you.
Kieran, thank you very much. And now I'm going to invite Mary O'Neill, the Rural Development Programme Manager. And Mary is just going to go through the past LEADER programme with you and look forward at the new LEADER programme coming up and how Innovating Communities links into that. Over to you, Mary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dervla. And Louth Leader Partnership through the Leader Programme are delighted to be involved in the Innovating Communities project. We've worked for the last probably 2 years getting this programme together, and delighted that has been funded through the Leader Programme. Leader, just to give a bit of a background, has been around in County Louth for 26 years now at this stage. And since it has started, the programme has probably transformed many communities in the county, and we've put in place fantastic infrastructure from things like the community centre, playgrounds that you see throughout the county, and down to things like the park benches and the hanging baskets. Leader would have supported a lot of groups in the county in providing these in their local communities. All communities would have been encouraged to help with the funding of these projects, so it was a community-led development from the start. Communities across Louth now are progressing to the next stage of development, and Leader is wanting to move with them and to help them in that transition. And we feel that the Innovating Communities project will be a great stepping stone for them to get to that next stage. Leader is engaged, and we have had great links with communities across the county, numerous groups, tidy towns groups, sporting organisations, community welfare groups, tourism groups, and the business sector in helping private promoters in small enterprises throughout the county, and a key contributor in the job creation sector in County Louth. The Innovating Communities project, it hopes to strengthen the local development and the community-led development across the county, and we hope to be there with all these groups that are taking part in this project, along with all the other agencies in the county. We want to be there for these communities to bring them to the next stage of their development in their communities. We want to encourage these people to access the training and the design thinking, and to take part in their community and to help solve the issues that they see within their community. Every community has different issues, so we are encouraging people to come up with the ideas and to come up with the challenges that their community faces, and we will try and help through this Innovating Communities project to address these. The next Leader programme then is focusing on the whole area of Green Deal, and we've been told this is where it's going. The smart village concept, digitisation, remote working, it's all these words that we're hearing at the moment, and this is where the next Leader programme is key to focus on these areas. And we believe that Leader is going to play a key role in assisting groups with project funding in this whole area. The local community development committee, the LCDC, we work very closely with the local authority, and we are the implementing partner for the Leader programme in this county, and we believe that that we're all going to play a very key role in the next Leader programme and the whole area where rural villages and towns are going to move towards in the next few years. And I suppose just to say then that during the last Leader programme, the LAG approved funding for numerous training courses, which we hope to roll out in 2021 and 2022. And these training programmes will focus on the whole area of climate change, biodiversity, water management, renewable energy, trying to get people on the ground starting to think that this is the way to go forward. And we hope that this project, the Innovating Communities project, will feed into this, and it will help communities build awareness within their own areas of what's needed. We're delighted to be here at the launch today, and we look forward to working with all the communities. And I just see a number of familiar names up on my screen here that we've worked with down through the years on the Leader programme. And I wish Des and his team at Ice Cream Architecture and all our co-trainers the very best of luck in this project and the Leader programme, and the Leader staff will be there to assist them in whatever way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you,
now,
Jen.
you're very welcome. And now I'm going to introduce Des Burney, the Chief Executive Officer of Ice Cream Architecture. And Des is just going to go through with you a little bit of an overview about the design thinking process. Over to you, Des.
Gurb Margaret Dervle, agus fáilte roibh go gachtaine I gContae Louth. Is mis deasún ó bearna ón an tagraíocht ice cream architecture. Is mór an óir doing a bheith bantach leis an tionscadal seo. We're delighted to be leading the training and engagement of the Innovating Communities project. And already we've been working with some of the co-trainers from across Louth who are giving up their time over the next 2 years to support the Innovating Communities project and to support their local communities. So already things are starting to happen. You'll also see there's a website that's live where we're starting to register people's challenges. So we're at the start of a really exciting journey within the project. And over the next 2 years, there's going to be lots of different things happening and lots of, hopefully, participants engaged from across Louth. This in front of you, this light bulb infographic, describes the whole journey that's ahead of us. So already, as I said, we have the website, and on the website, I encourage everyone there to go and register. And there you can tell us the challenges and the types of things that you'd like to see tackled and that you would like to tackle for your community. So if you register on there, then you can tell us. This is the launch, obviously, for Louth, and it's great to have it officially launched today. We've had a regional launch already, and we're really raring to get going. As I said, the co-trainers are already in place and are going through some training at the moment, and they're getting ready to be able to support as much as possible with the design thinking process and with any participants that get started. The next stage of the project will be taking into account all the challenges that people are bringing to the site and things that we've been hearing through the different projects and with the partners that are relevant challenges to tackle. So there'll be a process of distilling down the challenges and working out what groups and cohorts are coming together to form the participant cohorts and the challenges that they want to tackle. And that's a process of acceptance around making sure that that challenge is the right one. Once those cohorts are in place, and these cohorts can come any time from this month right through for the next, say, year and a half, and then we can start the challenges or the training with those cohorts. And there are two different types of training that we will be carrying out with the training cohorts. The first are the design sprints, and these are for quick fire, quickly run sessions that will tackle issues and challenges that the participants feel have a really quick outcome that we can get to. And then the second set of training program are the full-scale challenges. And these are things I can explain a little bit further on, but these are bigger challenges, things that might take a lot longer. So the full-scale challenges will be 10 sessions in total with the training cohorts, and the design sprint sessions will be probably 6 to 7 sessions with each of the training cohorts. So there's two different types of training. We'll also have a learning conference towards the end of the project to look at all the things that have been learned across the project. Along the outside of the infographic, you will see the different thematic areas that we expect the challenges to be coming from. These are very broad, and you'll recognize them as things, themes that are affecting community life. The challenges don't specifically have to fit into one or more of these. It can be across the lot of them, or it can be a very specific challenge. And once we have all the challenges in the challenge bank, then we can start to work out the cohorts and make sure that groups are working to the challenges that they want to tackle. To give you a very quick introduction to design thinking, I'm sure many of you have maybe used this already or have heard of it. Design thinking is really about a mindset, and it's an approach effectively to working through challenges, and it gives us a series of stages and a set of tools that we can work with to overcome these challenges and to work out solutions. And the most important thing about the design thinking process is that there is a human-centered approach that we adopt. And everyone is asked to focus on the human, the people and the community that are affected by the challenge. And this is something that we'll continually look to do throughout the process, is to look back and think, is this the right solution that will work for the people and the community affected? So the participants themselves may be those people or may be part of that community, or it might be separate to the participants, and we are working to overcome the challenge for those people. And we need to constantly think back, is this the right way, the right approach to solve the challenge for them? And just quickly, design thinking came about in the 50s and 60s, and this was in the post-war era, when people could see that lots of rapid design and manufacturing processes had led to huge amounts of innovation, huge amount of invention as well. And people saw things like how Nescafe had been developed, freeze-dried coffee effectively had been developed as a result of the war, because there were stocks building up in Brazil on the ports, and it couldn't get out, the product couldn't get out because of the limitations of transport. But they developed this freeze-dried coffee idea. It became a ration for the troops, and it was quickly distributable, and it became a household name then as well. In the same way, the biro was developed in the run-up to the war, and it gained real traction because it was so useful for pilots, because the fountain pen pots were exploding at high altitude. So different reasons and different challenges brought about these inventions. There were lots more inventions, things like superglue, penicillin, lots of different things that happened during the war. And after the war, people started to document these challenges and how they were overcome, and the inventions and innovation that spiraled from them. And this brought about the thinking of design thinking, and that's where the phrase was coined. And within design thinking, they also saw, when they were thinking about these processes, they saw it wasn't just about small inventions, it was also about the bigger challenges, things that were harder and felt almost intangible. So they coined the phrase wicked problems. And a wicked problem is something that feels quite intangible. It might be difficult to work out, where do you start to overcome this challenge? There may be multiple stakeholders involved in the challenge and in a possible solution. And it's about bringing those stakeholders together to fully understand how a solution could work. So I mentioned earlier the two different phases of training. There was the design sprints and the full scale types of training. The wicked problems, the big issues, things like tackling climate change, for instance, is such an intangible issue in some ways, but we all need to work up solutions. That would be potentially a full-scale challenge that we would work through over 10 sessions. To go through the stages of design thinking quickly, I mentioned before about accepting a challenge, and before you get going on the process, it's important that everyone who is going to tackle a challenge accepts what the challenge is, and understands that we're all working together with a positive attitude and a mindset towards tackling that challenge. Initially, then, we look at the empathize phase, which is about kind of researching and understanding the challenge and the people and the community that are affected by that challenge. Before then, we'd move to the define phase, which is looking at setting a brief of the challenge. So we have all the details and we know exactly what challenge we're working towards and how the solution might start to work. We then look at the ideation phase, and that is about it's a really fun bit actually. It's about putting down as many ideas as possible. And there's no bad idea at this stage. So anything goes. It's really blue sky thinking. It's ambitious. And there's lots of different opportunities here for people to feed in and come up with ideas. And it's about laying them out so people can see them and talk about these ideas. Before then, starting in the test phase to consider the ones that are gaining the most amount of traction, or people are kind of coming behind specific ideas, so we can test them and make sure that they work for the community and the people that are affected. And then once we've settled on a solution or a number of solutions, then we look at how we can materialize that solution and make sure that it works, and that we have all the kind of, we make sure we know how the solution can be put into place for the community and for the people affected by the challenge. So it is a linear process, but also there's flexibility within the process to move back and forth. So if we get to a stage where we have lots of ideas, we choose one, and we test it out and we realize actually that doesn't work, we can go back then to some of the other ideas and re-ideate effectively until we get the right solution. So it is a linear process, but it's also something that we have a process to lean on, that everyone is aware of that process in case we need to step back a little bit and start again at a certain particular phase. So there's lots of flexibility within that process. There's also lots of tools that we can use within the design thinking process. And especially given that we're here today over the screen, it's not exactly the way that we would expect to deliver design thinking. But that won't stop us. There's lots of tools that we have that we can use and guide participants through so they can use in their own challenges as well, that we can use at each of the different phases. So there's lots of opportunity to keep working until the day that we can work face to face again. Very quickly, I want to just go through an example of design thinking and two different approaches maybe between that companies have taken, and to really show the emphasis of focusing on the people and on the community. So design thinking is widely used by commercial and corporate entities, and in particular, one like Netflix, where they're constantly innovating their approach and fitting it to their audience. So they started as a subscription service for DVDs at the same time as Extravision, and they became a streaming service. And then while streaming, they've kind of had algorithms in place that look at what we're watching, and then they are now producing TV shows and films based on what people want to see. So it's constantly innovating and using design thinking, looking back at their audience. Unfortunately, Extravision didn't continue to innovate, and that's why, though Netflix is one of the biggest companies now across the world and a household brand, we no longer have Extravision on our streets. But by no means is this the reserve of the corporate world. This is an example of a project that we've worked on in Huntly in Scotland. And it's a town of about 8,000 people with a big rural hinterland. And when we came to the town, effectively, people were telling us that we needed to bring retailers back to the town centre because it was declining. The town centre had lost its real focus and importance. And we worked with a local town team, so a group of the organisations that are really active in the town. And we looked at the data and things like the vacancy rates of units in the town centre. And then we set up some events, and we asked the community at large around what was it that they really needed to see happen. So we found out it wasn't as much about the retailers, but more about the community being able to access the town centre. And this design thinking process highlighted how many different ways that the community could start to use their town centre. So on the back of that process, we set up, or we kind of put forward with the community this roadmap to how they could, I guess, get the levers back and start to control the town centre themselves. And the town centre then became that kind of wicked problem, but within it, there were lots of smaller challenges that needed to be tackled also. And this roadmap has now given the town of Huntly the ability to draw down funding to purchase 2 buildings in the town centre. They've also got a programme of activities that's been supported behind the development of those buildings. And there's lots of positivity around other projects that are all tying in to this one wicked problem of the town centre decline. So that's just one example of how design thinking can support communities, and both in urban and rural areas. But the big question, I suppose, is how can people get involved in innovating communities just now? The first thing to do is to definitely go along and register on the website, innovating.ie. And as I said, that's where you can start to log some of the challenges that you'd like to tackle. Over time, you'll start to see that the courses, so the cohorts of training, will be up there, and that will be based on what people are saying the challenges are. And you'll be able to register interest in the particular courses and the challenges that you would like to help tackle as well. So please go along to innovating.ie and register yourself and start to get involved in the discussions on there. You'll see there's a challenge bank where you can input your challenges, and you'll see you can add the categories, so those themes that the challenges can start to relate to. You'll also see there are lots of challenges already up there from people across Louth. Please comment on these, and you can like them, and you can have discussions around those challenges, and that way we'll be able to start to form the groups of people that would create a cohort. So just to say again, please do go along to the website and register yourself. And there's a huge amount of exciting work already happening across Louth. But at this really tricky time with COVID, it's a perfect time to think about innovation and how we can adapt and also put forward methods and solutions for challenges that we see in community life. So a very exciting time, and I'm really delighted to be with you here today and to get started on the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Des. So back over to myself, Dervla Clark, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce you to the 6 co-trainers on the programme, and then I'm going to talk about the supports that the co-trainers will lend to the trainees. Then what I'll do is conduct a question and answer session, and finally I'm going to advise you on how to register again for the upcoming training. So if you just put on the next slide, Des. Yeah. Thank you. Just back to me, Des, just back up one. Up one. That's lovely, thank you. So a little bit about me. My own background is in training and development, working for over 20 years as a business trainer and a coach, delivering different types of training interventions such as leadership, management development, sales and customer service, start your own business, entrepreneurship, personal development, wellness programs, train the trainer, coaching and creative thinking. And I delivered a lot of those types of training interventions into both public and private sector organisations and companies across Ireland. I joined as a co-trainer as I have a very keen interest in facilitating community groups to achieve their full potential by using tools such as the design thinking process. Thanks, Des. Next slide, please. Our next co-trainer is Dara McGowan. So Dara works for Louth Leader Partnership and is a Community Development Officer covering Dundalk and Mid-Louth. Dara has worked for over 20 years in community development, helping communities to establish sustainable groups and networks and providing supports and encouragement through training and think tank initiatives. Dara joined as a co-trainer as she's always looking for new ways to engage with communities that will enable them to reach their goals. Next slide, please, Des. Our next person is Kieran McCourt, our next co-trainer. And in a varied career, Kieran has worked as an economic advisor in industrial development, taking a mission to the World Bank in Washington. He's also practiced law at home and abroad, specialising for a time in resort development. But in recent years, he's worked with local voluntary groups in the areas of heritage and community development. Kieran has a particular interest in promoting sustainable and socially responsible projects. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our next co-trainer is Mary Deary. Mary is the Community Development Lead in Louth County Council, with responsibility for the development and monitoring of the community actions of the local economic and community development plan. Mary also has responsibility for the financial oversight of the LEADER and SICAP programs, support to the public participation network, delivery of the Healthy Louth programme, the Age-Friendly County programme, the Community Enhancement Grants, and Comhairle na nÓg. She is currently the COVID contact person for the Louth Community Call Forum. Mary studied rural development in NUI Maynooth and graduated in 2006 with a first-class honours. And on to our next co-trainer, which is Norrin Colgan. Norrin works for Louth Leader Partnership and is the Community Development Officer in the Drogheda area under the Social Inclusion Community Activation Programme SICAP. Norrin sees the Innovative Communities programme as a timely opportunity to develop innovative ideas and practices in community settings during the global pandemic. Norrin has worked in the area of community development for over 30 years. She began her career as a Montessori teacher with various roles in Bernardo's Traveller Education Project, She was also employed by the Ballymun Partnership during the largest regeneration programme in Europe. Noreen is a graduate of NUIG and she obtained a BA Honours in Community and Family Studies. And she also holds a Master's in Management and Innovation in Social Enterprise. And finally, our last co-trainer is Gaia Del Ferro. After moving to Ireland in 1997 from Italy, Gaia spent 19 years in a variety of senior leadership roles in IBM. But in 2020, she co-founded the Inner Works Factory to create a space where humans can take front and center stage when growing, developing, and improving businesses. Gaia helps talented individuals emerge as heart-centered leaders to live a more fulfilling life in and outside work. She partners with organizations who want to put their human talent at the forefront of their management strategy to support them and achieve their long-term change that sticks. She joined as a co-trainer as she strongly values good citizenship and wants to give back, sharing her expertise to the community that has welcomed her. So welcome to all the co-trainers, and we look forward to working together with 150 training participants that will be involved in the design thinking training over the next 18 months. So what I'm going to do now is just go through with you a little bit about the support that the co-trainers will offer. So over the last 4 weeks, all of us co-trainers have been involved in learning about the design thinking training process. We've learned to use a creative tool called Miro, which allows us to facilitate the training online. You can see a picture of that over on the right-hand side. But we hope that down the line, we'll be able to meet face-to-face and conduct the training in our offices in Dundalk and RD whenever the COVID restrictions are lifted. As part of the role, we'll be participating and supporting the participants in the upcoming training modules over 2021 and 2022. We'll also provide information locally to potential participants and support and connect with local groups who are or wish to participate in the training. As part of the role, we provide reflective learning and insights on how to develop the training process as it changes and moves as it goes forward. And we'll also be involved in feeding into reporting of the participants' progress as we progress. So that just concludes that part of my presentation with you. And what I'd like to do now is just to encourage you now to go to the section on the right-hand side up at the top of your screen, and you'll see that there's like a little square speech bubble. And I would welcome any questions that you might have in the chat area. I see that Kieran is saying there that yes, a copy of the presentation will be made available. Media. Okay, so if there's no questions coming forward at the moment, what I think we'll do is we'll just start with some questions that were emailed to me prior to the launch. So Des, I'm going to put this question to you. Example, if your challenge is similar or in line with one from another county. And that question is to Des.
Sorry, Daryl, I missed the start of it, but I think possibly it's related to if there's similar challenges that you see up on the website already from other counties. Certainly we're encouraging as much as possible that challenges and participants can work together across counties. So it doesn't have to necessarily be in your locality. It could be across your county in Louth, or it could be across the region itself. So as much as possible, if there are similar challenges that you want to tackle with other people, we'll hopefully be able to needle and thread and kind of bring people together based on the challenges and the themes that they want to work on. So there's lots of opportunity for inter-county kind of collaboration on the challenges.
Yeah. I see somebody has come into the chat and they've said that someone is having trouble with broadband. Is it possible to get a copy? And absolutely, we can give you a copy of the presentation. That's no problem. There's another question for you. How many hours does each session last?
Sure. So that will vary a little bit depending on whether we are doing the sessions virtually or if we're going to do them face-to-face, and that will obviously depend on the restrictions. So as soon as the restrictions start to lift, we'll be able to do more things face-to-face. It depends really on whether you're doing the design sprint process or the full-scale process, and that's something we can work with participants and with the kind of cohorts as they come forward around challenges, to decide whether it feels like a design sprint challenge or a full-scale challenge. A design sprint challenge would be 6 to 7 maybe sessions, and they could range from maybe an hour-long session to a 3-hour-long session within each one. And then the full-scale session would be to do 10 sessions in total to work through that kind of full-scale wicked problem challenge towards the solution.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Des. So a question has just come in on the chat. Hi, this is a very interesting initiative to develop communities. Is there a particular target group of participants or qualifications that you will be looking for?
I'll take that, Dervla, as well. The biggest, I think, thing that we really want is a motivation to improve community life, and it's something that you really want to see improvements in. So if there's something that you're interested in, or if you have expertise or qualifications in, that's brilliant. If it's something that you've maybe not worked on before, it's about joining a group of people, like-minded people that want to tackle that challenge. So I think it's about kind of everyone from across the community kind of putting themselves forward and saying, yes, I want to tackle that challenge, or going on the website and seeing the challenges that are up there and saying, that sounds interesting to me, I'd love to join that cohort.
Fantastic. Thank you, Des. Michelle Hall has sent in a question. Will sessions be available in the evenings too?
Yep, so we will, once we bring all the cohorts together, or a cohort together, we'll work with that cohort to understand the availability around times. So it could be daytime, evening, and some weekend training as well. So once we have a challenge in place and a group of people who are wanting to tackle that challenge, we'll work with that group, and as much as possible, we'll be able to accommodate evening sessions and some weekend sessions as well.
Fantastic. Des, I think you may already have covered this. Is there any criteria for the participants interested in the training? From Caroline O'Neill.
Caroline, the most important thing is that you're really motivated to tackle the challenge, and I guess it is a commitment from you to get involved and understand the community that are affected by the challenge, and to put forward and work with the cohort and the training team and the co-trainers to come up with a solution and try and think about how that solution can be put into action as well. So there are lots of different programs and potential funds and strands of work that are happening through LEADER and other organizations, and we'll be thinking about how we can make sure that some of these challenges and solutions become draft projects and proposals for future projects as well. So I think the criteria is mostly around being motivated, and any expertise that you can bring with that, that's brilliant.
Fantastic. Thank you, Des. So Olivia Shield has sent in a question. Is there funding available to cover the solutions to these challenges, or is raising funds seen as a challenge? And I see that Kieran has responded already, and Kieran says, we would expect that in working through the issues, funding solutions would be found. This funding could be through a future LEADER programme or other funding streams available to support rural communities. So I think that's it for all the questions. Oh no, there's another one just come in. Des, I think this one is to you. When you're talking about the cohort from Erin Finnegan, do you mean different sectors of the community? And if so, will the training cover different sectors of the community?
Yep, so Erin, the cohort that I mentioned is as yet to be formed, the cohort. So, but what we're hoping to do is to form these cohorts of people who are focusing on the challenges. And what would be really helpful is if you know of other individuals or other representatives of groups that you think would like to tackle some challenges together, to come, I guess, with a preformed challenge and a preformed cohort that we can then support you to work through the design thinking process to come up with a solution. So yeah, it's open in terms of whether you have that group or that cohort in mind, but also if you're just an individual who wants to put forward something or get involved in a thematic kind of challenge, then we can form that cohort around the other people that are out there who are wanting to tackle that challenge as well.
Okay, I have a few more questions, and I'm just going to very quickly ask you, Des. Connect Family Resource have asked, would you run a group just for young people to get their voice heard as a youth group?
Yep, most definitely, especially if the challenge is related to young people. There's no one better to tell us and to work with us to come up with solutions than young people themselves. So yeah, by all means, we'd love to have challenges and cohorts that are focused on young people.
Fantastic. Grania Beryl asks, Des, you mentioned at the outset picking the right challenges. What constitutes an appropriate challenge?
And I guess the thing that's most important here is that there are a group of people that see the challenge as a worthy challenge of tackling. And once we can work out exactly what that challenge is, that's the point where the group or the cohort that are coming together, they accept that challenge, and I guess we lock that challenge down and say that's what we're going to tackle throughout the design thinking process. So I suppose at the moment it's about putting forward any challenge that you see, and maybe then we will start to either bring together some challenges to make sure that there is a cohort of people focusing on a challenge that's relatable to the challenge you put forward.
So I have one last question, Des, and then I'm going to go on to the next steps. How will diverse topics be chosen as actions to work on? How will multiple topics and needs be met from multiple communities?
Sure. So the diverse topics, I mean, it's a very broad set of topics that we've put out in front of you. And it will really be about the challenges that people are putting down and coming forward with. So if there are really specific things that people are saying, and that it feels like there is a cohort that could form around a specific, even if it is a very diverse challenge, we can focus that. But also if there is a grouping of people either with kind of like-minded interests, but with kind of multiple challenges that fall within that interest, it will be about bringing those people together to think about what the challenge is, or the maybe multiple set of challenges within the cohort that we could tackle.
Okay, thank you, Des. So I see there is another question, but I'm going to get back to that person individually. But what I want to do now is go on to the next step. So thank you, Des. So if you wouldn't mind putting on the next slide, Des, there. So our next steps are, so I just want to summarize. So we have 150 places for participants for the training. And if we break that down, it's approximately 12 people for 12 groups over a period of, say, 18 months over the whole of Louth. So that gives us about a total of 17 training courses that will be delivered over that period, ending December 31st, 2022. And that's around 504 hours training delivered in Louth in total. So the next key thing is, in order for you to avail of this training, please just follow the next steps, which is sign up, register yourself and or your group on www.innovating.ie to attend the training. If you are working on a challenge or you have a local challenge, please register your local challenge on the website. And once we collate and have all the information of all the people who are interested in attending, we'll be in touch with you to notify you of your training dates. So just in closing, I really want to thank you all very much for attending the launch of our Innovating Communities program. I would encourage each and every one of you to share this information and encourage others who would like to work on their local challenges in your communities and avail of this innovative approach to coming up with solutions to improve community life. So on behalf of myself and my colleagues here at Louth Leader Partnership, thank you very much and take care. We hope to hear from you soon. God bless.